Honored Commissioners, I have a PowerPoint and I also have some documents like in the past that I've submitted. I was hoping to approach or give them. I want to make sure you get them all. Thank you. You might want to make sure this one's. Administratively, you just want to make sure that first there's a letter from a gentleman named Dexter Haight. You'll see his qualifications on the top part of the letter in regards to safety programs for workers in naval shipbuilding. And you might want to take his concerns into account as regard to inhalation pathways of lead. A second document is courtesy from the Earth Science Environmental Technology Group over at UC Santa Cruz from the year 2000. It's a study by a gentleman by the name of Steeding, Dunlap, and Flegel in regards to isotopic measurements that they made back in those days. You might find that document also pertaining to some of your considerations for riparian, riverine, and marine situations as far as lead contamination. And then, of course, the ubiquitous purple envelope is my PowerPoint. Let's see, how do we work this thing? Uh-oh. Okay. So this? No? Okay. So far, both in the testimony and in the letter by the 31 PhDs and numerous other scientists involved or researchers involved, the principal link between lead in ammunition and elevated blood levels in free-flying condors is made through isotopic ratio analysis of lead 207 to lead 206, the Church document. Everybody's been familiar with that by now, I think. Church represents isotopic ratios of blood levels in tested condors, and chart represents figure 1. And he shows measurements of 2 different brands of ammunition of isotopic ratios in table 3. I believe the Church is in error in attributing these isotopic ratios in free-flying condors to ammunition only, and I'm going to hopefully show you that. We also have some information in regards to a DTSC, the Department of Toxic Substances Control document from 2004. These show numerous pathways, including inhalation of lead, which I think are being overlooked in the Fry document and subsequent testimony. There was some data that I presented in August. We didn't get to talk about it, but if you go back to the record, you'll see about lead, dust ingestion, paint ingestion, that kind of thing, inhalation, that kind of thing. The airborne issue can't be overlooked, especially with what we'll show you today. You can find this report, obviously, at that URL. DTSC shows this number of pathways as possibly affecting individuals and humans, and noticing that the other side, is, so to speak, has been talking about children, child levels at 10 micrograms per deciliter, so on and so forth. We thought this was relevant as well. Basically, in a nutshell, especially with the Steeding study, the Steeding-Dunlap-Flegel study, the lack of uniqueness of the isotopic ratio as pertaining to lead and ammunition only is now questioned. From here, you'll see this from the Church document. You should all be familiar with it. We discussed it in Bridgeport. Here's table 3 from the Church document, which shows the actual values that he measured. If you take those actual measures and superimpose them over his chart, you'll see that a number of free-flying condors do not have blood-lead ratios in the ratios that he found for ammunition. From Steeding, Dunlap, and Flegel, they found a number of measurements related to various kinds of lead sources in the riverine system that eventually winds up in San Francisco Bay and adversely affects the food chain in San Francisco Bay. They've got runoff from the hills, basically. You've got hydraulic mine sediments and something of like 50, 60 years of legacy lead from combustion and refining and whatnot. And that doesn't include things like paint and other things we know about. So when you do the reciprocal, because the Steeding document does it lead 206 to lead 207, you have to do a reciprocal conversion to get the ratios as to have consistent units with the Church document. And notice his range is there. When you take just the fuel combustion, you see the overlay. This is not speaking to concentration. I'll speak of concentration later. You notice that the range of fuel combustion isotopic ratios consumes a large variety or a large amount of the range already in the Church document. Add to that the natural runoff and the tailings and residues in creeks and streams, and you'll find that you're no longer dealing with one possible source of isotopic lead contamination, condors. You're dealing with additionally 3 more. And these tend to be soluble more so than the metallic lead alloys, which are reported by DTSC as relatively insoluble. The acid mobilization argument basically hinges on, are there condors out there with 100 degrees C body temperatures? Because that's what it takes to basically dissolve metallic lead with hydrochloric acid. Conclusion, it's not unique. You couldn't convict a Tukey Williams with this kind of relationship. In addition, there's a number of point sources throughout the condor range, and these are going to be specifically, these are listed at the DTSC website. These are the URLs. In one case, EPA walked in, circled the place off, and started excavating soil. It was that hot with lead, and that was within 30 miles of Bitter Creek in the Hopper Mountain area. And when it's that hot, you know it's serious. In this particular case, condors have been noted to fly up to 72 miles, so this is well within the range of the Hopper Mountain facility and birds in that range. Conclusion, I believe additional study is warranted. This definite link that is being claimed by the other side does not exist forensically. This is not something that could even make the beginning with a district attorney in a criminal conviction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.